foreign policy team in history running this country. And their design is to completely disarm us and take us into the New World Order. That's the whole plan here. That's why they let him get on the plane. In other words, if they knew who he was and they let him get on the plane, why did they let him get on the plane? Maybe that he failed to set off the bomb disappointed them. Maybe they wanted the bomb to go off in order to institute martial law.
All right, Alex Jones here back live. Why am I playing short clips of Michael Savage? Because I want to embrace truth. I want to embrace Rush Limbaugh. I want to embrace Glenn Beck. I want to embrace Sean Hannity. I want them to tell the truth. And Michael Savage is conservatively the fourth most popular radio host in this country with 10 million listeners a week. This show has 3 million a week. 2 million AM and FM, 1 million conservatively internet. We're about the 9th or 10th largest radio show in the country now. Yes, that's right. #1 on the internet. But the point here is that that's devastating to him on 400 radio stations for the truth to be told, and I just have to give credit. And I want Savage on this show. Because there's nothing I admire like courage. There's nothing I admire like the truth. And there's nothing I won't support like the truth. I support truth 110%. Now, let me get into why he's saying this, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, it's a fact. Red-handed in ABC News, in the Associated Press, in the Detroit Free Press, in Detroit Live, and on Detroit TV, they have all been reporting since last Thursday, as we have as well, that in plain view, a U.S. government agent led the underwear bomber. This guy, like I told you, within 5 days of the bombing, I had enough evidence to say it was a drill, and this idiot thought he was taking part in a drill. How do I know that? In almost every other case, that's how they do this. 7/7 in London. 9/11. I mean, I've interviewed the head, and then I'm going to give you the latest developments on this. I have interviewed the head of the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Springman. In fact, look, I want to get Springman back on. He's in Fabled Enemies that Burma's made. We interviewed him for video, and I interviewed him in 2002, but I want to get him back on. And he's got Muhammad Atta and 6 other Al-Qaeda in his computer as terrorists. He won't give them visas to the U.S. in 2000, and he's told by the State Department, you will let him in, it's national security. He refuses. He says, no, I will not commit crimes. And they said, you know what, pal? The CIA calls him up. When he got back to the U.S., they explained to him, these were U.S. government agents, part of a super-secret program who used their Al-Qaeda legend, their Al-Qaeda history, as a cover. But it doesn't stop there. I've got Fox News, Associated Press, you name it, MSNBC, Newsweek, admitting they were trained at the Pensacola Naval Air Station. Muhammad Atta and others, they were trained at the Defense Language School, Monterey, California. Colonel Butler, the dean, had Atta in his class, wrote a letter to the editor, went public in late 2001, saying the government staged this, and they started court-martialing him till he shut up. I called his house up and said, Colonel Butler, I'd like you on. And some woman's in the background screaming, get off the phone, don't do it. They'll say, they've said they'll get us. And then the phone gets hung up. That's the life I lead. I call up the colonel who's in the newspaper saying, we train these people. You think I like going on the air in September of 2001 and saying it's an inside job? I have to. I have to tell the truth. And this is an inside job as well. And you heard Savage. It didn't start with Obama. Our government is a bunch of criminals run by offshore banks, and they're staging these stinking terror attacks. Do I know exactly what happened on 9/11? No. I just know the guys that supposedly did it were trained at U.S. military bases and protected. I want a real investigation. That's all I've ever wanted. And the truth always comes out. You can't suppress it. But trying to go over to Umar Farouk, the underwear bomber, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, Ladies and gentlemen, this is being used to set up the police state to record your wife, your son, your daughter's naked body when they go to the airport. This is being used to say we've got to have Homeland Security on the streets of the country. Here's the prisonplanet.com headline, but it has links to Detroit news saying the same thing. It has links to all the mainstream news, but they report it dryly, like they're talking about a weather report or something, or a county fair coming to town. The sharp-dressed man who aided the underwear bomber onto Flight 253 was a U.S. government agent. And then it goes through it. This is by Kurt Haskell, the lawyer who was on there with his wife. He's at the airport. He sees him lead Umar Farouk, the underwear bomber, up without a passport or anything, a man in a sharp-dressed suit, and says, get him on the plane, and they put him on the plane. And then somebody's on the plane, 5 rows back, the entire flight, with a camera, on a 15-hour flight, trained on the underwear bomber. Trained on Umar Farouk. It goes on and on. Then, they don't hear a pop, a small fire, some smoke. They take him off the plane. The bomb dog at customs, they have them all in there sequestered, runs up and alerts on a bag. They grab another man, another black man. They grab him. They drag him into a room and say, everybody get out. Bomb, bomb. Everybody gets out. And then Haskell goes on TV, goes on CNN and MSNBC, and says he saw all this, and the FBI goes on the news and says he's a liar. Then Haskell has all these other witnesses come out who were on the plane and say, no, we saw this. We saw all this. Now, this goes on for a month until last week when the Justice Department, Patrick F. Kennedy, Undersecretary for Management of the State Department, releases the fact that it was a Pentagon, FBI, Homeland Security sting, and that they wanted him to get to the U.S., and that they led him on board the plane and protected him and covered up the other person who was on the plane, even though the underwear bomber in federal court said there was an accomplice on board with him, and that he's pleading not guilty, but they won't give details under national security. Why would they have the video camera taping him? So he'd go ahead with it, believing he was taking part in a drill. We know Muhammad Atta and at least 5 of the other hijackers took part in drills the months before. James Woods, the actor, and others went on Fox News about it, where they would be on the plane acting like they were going to take it over just to test security. What they do is they tell the BATF, they tell the FBI, they tell the Navy SEALs, practice taking over an airport, practice getting a bomb on a plane. This is all on record. Practice taking over an embassy. But what they do is, when you actually go do the drill, 99% of the time, nothing happens. It's a drill. But 1% of the time, and we're guesstimating there, but we know this has happened in the past, it's been declassified, they actually blow the embassy up. Or they actually shoot you. Or you actually have a bomb in that bag they tell you to take on the bus or train. Let's say you drop the bomb, you run. At Canary Wharf in 2005 on 7/7, they gunned a bunch of people down, chased the Muslims down who found out it was a setup, and killed them. In every case, we find out the government's running drills. On 9/11, on 7/7, in this case, drills, 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 drills. His dad, the underwear bomber's dad, goes and says he's planning something. He's training with terrorists, all this. It goes on and on and on and on. And even if you believe these are real terrorists and they were just allowed to do it, that's still an accomplice to the crime, and they're doing it so their approval ratings will go up. Remember what I told you 7 years ago, and now it was declassified last year? Governor Ridge, former head of Homeland Security, Tom Ridge wrote a book, how they would issue fake terror alerts for political purposes. I'm going to go through some more of the evidence of this, then get into other news and your phone calls coming up. I'm Alex Jones, prisonplanet.tv, Infowars.com. We are back live, ladies and gentlemen. So the underwear bomber on Christmas Day is led on by a U.S. agent, and they now admit it's part of a sting. And then they lied about the other man supposedly with a bomb on the plane and said that never existed, and said that people that were exposing that, like Kurt Haskell, were telling lies. Now they admit they were telling the truth. So we have this massive cover-up, and this is being done to launch a new war in Yemen and put in the naked body scanners worldwide and set up a police state. Remember that, because this is only the preparatory phase. Every week we hear new fake bin Laden tapes. And in the lower paragraph of the Associated Press, time and time again, they say, okay, well, we said that this might be a real bin Laden tape, but we have no way to prove it. And then all these past tapes have been proven to be fake. They simply use Osama bin Laden to menace you into giving up your freedom when we have the internal Homeland Security documents, MIAC and Homeland Security, where it's admitted that the Homeland Security system is set up for the American people.